Hi everyone, welcome back. Today's video is the first part of a new mini-series that I'm doing that's all about anatomy. So we're going to go through muscles, tendons, ligaments and bones, what they are, what they do, how we injure them and how physio can help to treat it as well. To help me explain this, it's really exciting. I've actually enlisted the help of a friend of mine, Francesca, and she's a very talented medical artist. I put her details in the description down below, her website and stuff, so make sure to have a look at that. But she's done some fantastic illustrations for me, which I'm going to use in this video, so I can kind of explain it a little bit better rather than just me talking at you. Today's video is all about muscles, so I'm going to be going through the conditions that can affect them and how we commonly injure them as well. We all know what a muscle is, but thinking about it in a bit more detail, technically a muscle is a piece of tissue that produces movement. That's its main thing, is the movement part. Whenever that muscle contracts or tenses, which basically means that it gets shorter, it produces a movement. So for this image that Francesca's made for me, this is a particular muscle in the arm that when it contracts, the muscle shortens, which brings the wrist towards the elbow, so basically bends the arm. Muscles are pretty much the same everywhere. There are about 600 odd muscles in the body. Every one of them has a function and a purpose. Muscles are elastic, which means we can do so much with them. We can strengthen them, we can stretch them, but if we do too much, that's when problems start to happen. So muscles normally get injured from when we overstretch or overwork them. If we do a little bit too much for the muscle to handle, that's when a sprain or an injury normally happens. Injuring a muscle is really common, and this can range from a mild sprain to completely tearing the muscle. Something like a small sprain or a muscular spasm won't actually show up on our grading system because there's no damage done to the muscle. You won't get any bruising, you won't get any swelling, and it's normally something that lasts for a few days or a week. A muscular spasm normally happens because we have so much tightness or weakness in that muscle, it's got a very low threshold to get set off. You might hear people say that their back went or something's gone into spasm. If you sit at a desk all day with your neck poking forward, a bit like this, those neck muscles will be constantly contracted, means that they'll be very tight and very weak. This means that they're much more likely to go into spasm and get set off. We need to keep our muscles flexible and strong to prevent future injuries. I'll be going into a bit more detail about these three grades of muscle sprain in a bit. To explain this a bit more visually, sometimes I'll use an elastic band as an example. So you have two elastic bands, both exactly the same. What I'm going to do with this one is stretch it nice and gently, speed it up a little bit so you won't get bored. But basically I'm just going to stretch this band nice and gently, little and often. This probably took me a couple of minutes or so. As you can see over time, the band becomes more flexible and more elastic, just like a muscle. But if we take the other elastic band that we haven't stretched and just pull it suddenly, you can see that it will break. This is the same as a muscle tearing. Obviously this is a bit dramatic, so what normally happens is if we do sharp, sudden movements on the band, like in real life if we do a stretch or if we lift something that's too heavy for our muscle, we get these micro tears. This is the same as a grade 1 or a grade 2 sprain. These tears will fix over time because muscles have a good blood supply. This is quite a nice way of showing you what happens. A grade 1 injury means that you've got a small tear within the muscle, and this can take from 2 to 6 weeks to recover. A grade 2 means that you've got a bigger tear, and this can take up to 12 weeks to recover. These timescales will differ from person to person, but they're kind of rough things to give you an idea. You'll normally see bruising and swelling at the site when you've injured it, and this will last for about a week. Muscles do have good blood supply, meaning that these tears will fix by themselves. Within the first week, you want to keep it moving gently, do some gentle stretches and apply ice. Once you've got over the initial inflammation, then you can liaise with your physio about an exercise program that's going to help you to stretch it and to build up strength. Now a grade 3 tear is uncommon, but it can happen with kind of high intensity sports and activities. As you can see, it's a full tear across the whole muscle. An assessment will be needed by a doctor, a GP, physio, so we can get a full assessment and have a look at the area itself. You will normally get a ridiculous amount of swelling and bruising over this area, and you probably won't be able to move it or actually contract that muscle because it's been completely torn. This often needs more invasive management like surgery, but each case is unique. Obviously I don't want to scare you, but if you are suspicious of this in yourself, get checked out by your doctor or physio and they can have a proper look. So to summarise this video, muscles are really important because they produce movement. Injuries normally happen from when we do too much, so when we overstretch or overwork that muscle. We're much more likely to injure this if we have a tightness or weakness within that muscle. So if we have an underlying problem that we haven't properly addressed, that means that muscle spasms and flare-ups and sprains are much more likely to happen. Muscles have good blood flow, so they can heal well, with the exception of a grade 3 tear. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you found this anatomy video helpful. Please leave any comments down below of any feedback or any other topic areas you want me to cover. Make sure to like and subscribe so you can get access to more content just like this in the future. My next videos on anatomy will be based on ligaments, tendons and bones, so make sure to keep an eye out for them as well.